Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a background on how I came to find Rebecca Watson's videos. I was perusing YouTube as usual. This is my afternoon ritual, and I look for interesting people. Sometimes it's just music video, but a lot of the time I actually stumble upon a fellow by the name of The Amazing Atheist. Now, he seems to be a pretty angry person, but I choose to interpret that as a very passionate person, someone who is trying to get out their opinion. And I have absolutely no problem with that. But it just really started to bother me that her arguments were so feeble, yet she proclaimed that she used facts, and that anyone who disagreed with her was only disagreeing with her because they disliked her appearance or just the fact that she's a woman. Now, I tried to look around. I didn't just take the Amazing Atheist word for it, which I usually do. But being that it was another person who obviously had a YouTube channel and videos, I decided to view the video. I decided to view several of them. In fact, I also viewed talks that she gave at a college. And I know that I'm not the most coherent person, but I'm not claiming to be. I'm not being paid. I'm not claiming to be an atheist and go on all these panels. I'm not traveling around the world being a poster child for feminism or whatever this girl thinks she's doing. I'm just on my little blog, on my YouTube channel, saying what I think. And that is the power of the internet. And the power of it is that you can agree with me, you can comment, rate, subscribe, you can do all of those things. But you know what you can also do? You can turn it off. I want you to go look at her videos. You can check out The Amazing Atheist's view on her, it's very entertaining. He's an entertaining person. I don't claim to be entertaining. I don't claim anything. I'm a poet, young writer in the Midwest, and I don't really care if anyone ever hears this video. But if you do agree, or if it moves you to do something, that you normally wouldn't do and express yourself, then that is the goal I have. I'm not doing this to be mean-spirited, and anything I say is only my opinion, and I ask you to make your own. And if you are a fan of Rebecca Watson, I do not apologize to you, but you are more than welcome to share your views on my channel. I am very open to people, having their say. So, here's what I have to say about Rebecca Watson. She has such a big problem with women, and more specifically, herself being objectified, but she thinks it's perfectly fine to objectify herself. And when people make arguments against her, she discredits them by saying simply they are misogynistic and they are just judging her based on her appearance. And in 2 separate YouTube videos, she calls the YouTube audience sexy. And one commenter said something along the lines of, "Isn't that objectifying your audience?" And she is fine with judging anyone who doesn't like her, that they're just creepy, or if they're women, they're just jealous, or they're ignorant, or they're not critically thinking, but she won't actually put any of this evidence out there and support her claim. In another video, she says YouTube is basically a large audience of idiots. This was in the update plus dating advice video, where she's just, no offense, a really huge bitch. She can't handle that people refute her arguments, and rather than answering to that, she just gets defensive and claims that she is constantly objectified. And recently, I read her article about Johnny Depp and how he felt he was objectified, and he used, a rather... He had to take this back later, but he likened it to being raped. And now, if you are a critically thinking person, you will say, okay, is this possible? Can he feel that way? Because millions of women love him simply for his looks. Millions of women objectified Johnny Depp. And he said he has no problem posing with fans. This is the high glossy, superimposed and super edited magazine photo shoot. The paparazzi. No one needs to have their personal space violated, and yet she can downplay that and be very cynical and not even funny about it. But yet, if someone were to say something against her, it's automatically wrong because she has tits. Now, some other grievances I have with Miss Watson are that she thinks that communities, especially the atheist community or the skeptic community, which I don't claim to know a whole lot about, should be more inviting towards women, that women deserve special treatment in elevators in foreign countries. But she never stopped to think that she is thinking very much along the traditional lines of how women were treated. But you know what? This whole thing has gotten blown out of proportion. I don't really care that she mentioned this offhand or that she feels she can get off by telling other people how they can get off, that she can basically tell every single man how to act. Now, telling a man not to come up to a woman that he is attracted to and ask her a question and respect her wish, and then politely walk away, which is exactly what fucking women have been telling guys to do for years. But now she has a problem with that, and I really don't understand how you could have a problem with that. But the whole point is that should have never been an issue in the first place. If she's uncomfortable, that's fine. But you know what? When you represent something bigger than yourself, when you go out there and speak and don't give a fuck to really care to make a coherent outline. I mean, I probably have done more research today on Rebecca Watson than she does before any given talk. At least that is the message I get from listening to her bumble around, trying to be funny without really addressing any big issues about atheism or feminism. And if I knew what skepticism was, I'm sure she's not really addressing that either. Just not having any facts and basing it all on yourself and just disregarding anything that you don't agree with is not a good basis for any way of thinking. I can't believe this is continuing on, but I was just watching so many of these videos and I just have a notepad just full of things that I just disagree with on every level. And the funny thing is, she claims to be one of these people she hates. In her segment, Scientists and Idiots, as if there are only two types of people in the world, she says, people are actually quite smart, and they make a lot of money off of women. And to that I say, aren't you making money off of women? Aren't you getting women and men who agree with your cause to buy your stupid, pointless shit? Didn't you pose for a pin-up calendar? I'm not judging you for doing that, but you are willing to take money for your appearance, but yet you don't want people to objectify you, but yet you objectify yourself in a video talking about all of your supposed physical flaws. I'm trying to at least support with a little bit of evidence on how you are inconsistent, on how you try to police what other people say without doing it with yourself because you think you're above it. Richard Dawkins believes I should be a good girl and just shut up about being sexually objectified because it doesn't bother him. Thanks, wealthy, old, heterosexual, white man. And to that I say, how are you not judging him? He called you out because you should be sitting there. You have a voice. You have a fucking podcast. You claim to care about women. You claim to care about douching and genital mutilation. But are you advocating for these women who can't advocate for themselves, especially these Muslim women that he addresses in his response to you on how ignorant you are of other cultures and how hard it really is for some women. You know, I hope it isn't hard for you. But, you know, it would be nice if you could understand a little. Getting hit on is not the same as having your clitoris ripped out of you, okay? And until your talks are less fucking cynical and contain a little bit more helpful research, knowledge, and help for women, I don't think you can claim to be their advocate. And you know what? It's not really his job to advocate for women. It's not anyone's job but every individual person. So I guess you are really doing the right thing by advocating for yourself. I just wish you would see that you are the privileged one and the delusional one. Have you been to her website? She can't write. She does not present good arguments for feminism or atheism, and yet she is invited to speak, usually incoherently, at length about things she does not fully understand, or understand at all. Skepticism sounds like bullshit to me. If you are meaning you can just refute anything you disagree with without proof or even good reasoning. Video after video prove to me, at least, that she is, in fact, a moron. And, Ian Man 6, so are you. So, with that, I'm closing because this is way too much talking, way too much fact-finding about a stupid bitch who can't fact-check her way out of a fucking paper bag. So, I leave you with my profound apologies if you actually stayed through the end, and please comment on if I should ever do one of these rants again, if you learned anything, and what you think of Rebecca Watson.